One of my best tips on how to play low post defense is to deny the ball. And if you can stay in the passing lanes and keep that bigger player from even catching the ball, you'll no longer have to worry about that player even backing you down to begin with. And a couple of things that you could do to make it harder for that player to receive the ball is to stay as close to them as possible and not even let them get into a position to where they're able to catch the ball. And if one of the player's teammates does decide to make that pass, you can either tip it out of bounds or try to steal the pass. And watch how Patrick Beverley is denying the ball from Giannis. He's not letting Giannis create too much separation from him. And he's just being a pest on defense. But now let's say if you're in a position where that bigger player does so happen to get the ball and he proceeds to back you down, what you could do then is draw a charge. But when that player is backing you down, you want to make sure that your feet aren't sliding too much, because then you could get called for a blocking foul instead of getting the charge call. And don't be a flopper, Marcus Smart. But now let's look at how Marcus Smart guards Giannis in this situation. Chris Middleton starts to play with the ball in his hands as Giannis gets into a post position on Marcus Smart. Marcus is then trying to deny the ball, but he catches it. As Giannis tries to back him down, Marcus is able to force him into a jump shot instead of backing him down and finishing at the paint. And on this play, DeMar DeRozan catches the ball and drives on Marcus Smart. But then Marcus cuts off DeMar's path to the rim, forcing him to have to post him up. And notice how when DeMar DeRozan does the fadeaway, Marcus Smart immediately closes that gap and is there for the contest. But be careful when you close out on somebody's jump shot, because if you close out too far on that player and you don't give that player any room to land, it could cause a very serious injury. And here Russell Westbrook is trying to get to the basket, but Marcus Smart does a really good job at sealing his path to the basket, forcing him into a turnaround fadeaway. And another thing that smaller players could do when guarding the low post, or even bigger players can do this technique called pulling the chair, which is basically you using their momentum against them as they continue to back you down. You can then back off of them to kind of cause them to stumble over and maybe even turn the ball over. So Dwayne Wade drives to the paint on the Indiana Pacers, but then goes into the post position. And as Dwayne Wade is backing the player down, he pulls the chair from underneath him, causing him to fall and turn the ball over. And another thing that you could do when guarding the low post is go for the steal. So say if you realize that that bigger player that's backing you down might not really have a good ball handling ability, you can knock that ball out of their hands and go the other way with it, which will then help you avoid getting backed down. So right here, the 76ers pass it to Joel Embiid in the post and squares up, but as soon as he squares up, Kyle Lowry jumps the ball and gets the steal from Joel Embiid. And if you have really quick hands like this, you can knock the ball out of the player's hands while they're still in motion of doing a move, which is another way of avoiding letting that player get into a comfortable position. And Devin Booker is posting up Kyle Lowry and tries to do a turnaround fadeaway, but Kyle Lowry cuts him off and knocks the ball out of his hands, leading to him throwing a bad pass and turning the ball over. But just like playing the passing lanes, it can be a risky thing to do, because if you fail to steal that ball, then you just gave that player a wide open dunk. The next thing that you could do is anticipate their next move. Are they going to drive right? Are they going to drive left? Are they going to do a post hook? Or are they going to spin off of you? What are their tendencies? If you can understand what that player is most likely to do when they post you up, then you can anticipate how to stop them. And you can use your quickness to get to that spot on the floor before they do. Now let's look at how Kobe Bryant guards the low post. Rudy Gay tries to back him down, but Kobe steals the ball from him. And when Rudy Gay did the spin move, it actually opened up enough space for Kobe to wrap his hand around him and get the steal. And on this play, DJ Augustin is driving to the paint, but Kobe gets to the spot before he does, drawing the charge. And Kobe is guarding Carmelo in the post, and then Carmelo passes the ball, but they try to pass it back to Carmelo, but Kobe reacts quickly by knocking the ball out of bounds. And if you ever feel like you're unable to guard that bigger player yourself, then you can send a double team over to help force a turnover. But if you do this, you need to force that turnover or force a jump ball quickly, because when you send a double team, you're leaving one of his teammates wide open. And watch how Illinois State executes their double team. The point guard passes it to his teammate in the post, and then they send the second defender over. And then the post player tries to escape the double team but gets cut off by the two players, and they apply the pressure, forcing him to turn the ball over. And they manage to shut down the wide open player. And the San Antonio Spurs pass it to LaMarcus Aldridge in the post. And after he takes a few dribbles, the Warriors send the double team. And he's able to make the pass to the wide open man, and he throws up a pump fake but misses the jump shot. But if you're the Warriors in this situation, you have to make sure you get that turnover, because you can't always rely on a player missing a wide open jump shot. And if you're a taller player guarding the low post, then what you could do in this situation is simply put your hands up as that player is putting the shot up. And if we look at Rudy Gobert's defensive highlights, you see that he does a really good job at timing when he goes up to block the shot. But you don't want to be jumping all the time, because then you could easily fall for a pump fake. So in that situation, when you are contesting a shot, you need to be patient and don't jump for the ball until you see that player release the ball from their hands. And make sure that when you go up to a contested shot that you aren't hitting their wrist or their arm or anything other than the ball, so that you won't end up fouling them and sending them to the free throw line. And as a smaller player, you might be tired of getting bullied in the paint and getting told to get in the weight room. But honestly, that is another great way to be a better low post defender, is to get stronger. Because the stronger you are, the harder it would be for a bigger player to back you down. And you might even be able to push them back as they try to back you down. But you don't want to push back so hard that you end up fouling them. And make sure that when you're guarding the low post that you are in a low defensive stance, because that will give you even more strength in your body to be able to hold that bigger player back. And another thing that you can do as a smaller player to become a better low post defender is work on your athleticism. Because say if you do manage to get back down all the way into the paint and they throw up a post hook or a post fadeaway, then you can still block their shot if you're athletic enough to jump high enough and block the shot. But the same thing applies to what I was just saying about the bigger players, is that you must be able to time exactly when they're going to release the ball. And Gordon Hayward is posting up Avery Bradley and goes into a post fadeaway, but Avery Bradley is able to block the shot. And if you look closely, Gordon Hayward actually created a little bit of separation with the post fake, but Avery Bradley recovered and still got the block. And if that bigger player tries to post you up and they manage to get past you, then don't give up on that play, because you can still recover from it and get the block or stop that player from scoring. And force the bigger player towards the help defense, because when you do this, that bigger player will not only have to worry about just scoring on you, but then he will have to try to score on two players at the same time. And watch how Patrick Beverley forces the big man closer to the help defense. So the big man tries to back him down towards the middle of the paint, and Patrick Beverley tries to draw the charge but doesn't get the call. But then the help defender comes over to contest the shot and the big man misses. And here the big man backs Patrick Beverley down and beats him with the spin move, but as he does that spin move, the help defender comes over and blocks the shot. And another good thing about forcing the bigger player to the middle or to the baseline is that you can get your big man, your power forward or a center, to come over to contest that shot and maybe even block it. Even if that bigger player manages to get past, Klay Thompson passes it to Draymond Green in the post, and he backs Patrick Beverley down and gets forced to the baseline, and once again the big man comes over and helps contest the shot. And if you're someone who wants to learn more basketball tips, I have 2 videos on the screen for you to check out.